Good morning, everybody. John Miller, founding attorney of Rock Solid Law. We're here for our regular Thursday Zoominar. I guess we've been going almost a year now. So welcome back to those of you that have been here before. And I think we have a few new folks on. Welcome to you as well. I'm actually excited about the subject matter today. And you're probably like, what? Who's excited about talking about taxes? Well, there are two or three reasons. One, we do everything we can to disinherit the IRS, right? I found it early in my practice, probably the least favorite entity in America is the IRS. I don't know if we have any insurance agents on today, but our insurance companies seem to be the next in line, I've found through my practice. But disinheriting the IRS is a great part of our practice. And that is to say that our clients, if at all possible, pay only the mandatory taxes, not the voluntary ones, right? So there are required taxes. You know what's certain, taxes and death. And in the estate planning aspect of our practice, we are dealing with both of those and trying to make sure that everybody's heirs and the people they love and treasure get everything that they're entitled to, and that nothing that doesn't have to go to the IRS goes to the IRS. The other reason today's subject on changes in the tax codes is fun is for part of it, we get to try to stare into our crystal ball and make some predictions on what we think, and more importantly, what experts in the field think may change in the coming time, year, whatever else, and that we all ought to be planning for. And then I'm going to spend the middle part of the session just going over some things that we know changed, and that this will be the first year that those will be taken into consideration in your tax return, which of course is due in less than 2 months. So without further ado, let's rock and roll a little bit. So remember, use the chat bar if you wish to ask any questions. And assuming they're general enough for the whole group, we'll take them on during this session. If not, we will take it offline and we can discuss it otherwise. So the big question, of course, on a lot of people's minds is what will the new administration do to change the tax structure? Obviously, the previous administration passed a tax act that was very beneficial to the wealthy and to big business, primarily large corporations. So, of course, a lot of things are said during the run-up to an election, and we all wonder what will be actually put into policy and what were pie in the sky promises and hopes that we may never see actually put into effect. So what I think across the board, the new administration, the Biden administration, has said it's going to do, and what most prognosticators and people that follow politics believe is going to happen, is that taxes are going to be raised on businesses and wealthy individuals. As an attorney who represents numerous small businesses across many different business endeavors, it's my hope that those increases will be particularly saved for big business and not affect small business. I believe that the initial rollout or proposal that we'll talk about a little bit more toward the end of the session that the Biden administration has proposed for pandemic relief indicates that they are particularly going to try to assist small business, which we appreciate. Those of us that are small business owners who have worked hard to keep our staff intact, to keep people employed and give jobs. You know, the way that the PPP was rolled out before, it was not particularly beneficial to small business, but I understand that the new administration is giving a 2-week window, which is going to be specifically for small business to try to access some of those very low interest government loans. For those of you that are small business owners, I have people researching how this is actually going to take effect and when. I don't have information to pass on about that because I don't think anybody really knows yet, other than as a proposal and as it's been stated that it's going to happen. So small business owners, keep an eye out. We will certainly be in touch with our clients once we know more of what's going on in that regard. My guess is it's going to come fast, and it will be very important to act quickly once the news is out. So I would encourage small business owners to keep a real eye on what that news is and how that's going to be available and what the parameters are. You know, there'll be certain requirements. For those of us that grew last year throughout the pandemic, we may not be eligible. But I can live with that because I think we need bold action to help save small business in this country. Those of you that have followed me for a while know that I believe that small business is the heartbeat of all business in America. 95+% of all businesses are small business, and I think that they need to be protected. Wow. Already we're starting to get some questions, so I'm going to get a little further in it. And we will touch on that. Rob, I would love to address that question later in the session. So more specifically, what we believe is coming down the pike is there will be tax investment and labor income for people earning a tax on investment in labor income, for people earning more than $400,000. That seems to be the magic cutoff point right now, at least in what's being proposed. But of course, everything's got to get through a Congress, and sure, everybody in America, unless you've been under a rock, knows that our Senate is split 50-50 with only the vice president's tying vote able to break a tie. I'm not going to get political in this conversation. I don't think that's helpful at all to my practice, myself, you guys, or our country. But I think at least it's been clear in my observation in the past that the Democratic Party has multiple caucuses and don't always follow as narrowly a party line vote, so that there will have to be some negotiations made to any proposal that's going to pass the Senate to bring multiple philosophies into the fold. So I think everything is far from guaranteed until the day it lands on the president's desk and is signed. So you guys are familiar, I'm sure, with the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act and the benefits of that act. And a lot of people are very afraid that there's going to be sweeping change taking those benefits away. I got my crystal ball out. I don't think so. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think most of it is here to stay. I think a lot of people that are very smart and study these things more than I do agree that it's here to stay, and that it's likely going to be tweaked in order to give more relief to middle and lower income individuals. Why do I not think there are going to be sweeping changes? Well, because both major political parties are essentially supported by the same money. And when you want to see what happens in policy, follow the money. I don't believe there's going to be huge changes to that tax act. I do think that, as I said before, that they're going to sneak up the tax rates on the wealthy and corporations, and they're going to reduce them on middle and particularly lower income individuals. So, there has been a $1.9 trillion stimulus plan proposed by the Biden administration. In that, which is the first major economic plan proposed by our new administration, there are no, follow my lips, no tax increases for anybody. All right. So they're going to try to keep the economy going to the extent it is, help the recovery, and they'll deal with tax increases later. I believe that the political philosophy behind this move is to try to keep our economy strong and make it stronger from its recent failures, as we recover from the pandemic. So I think the more we as citizens can, mask up and help recover from this pandemic. Those of us that believe in vaccines, I can't wait to get one. I'm just not quite old enough yet. So I'm hoping my state will follow other states and lower that age rate and allow us to get our vaccines so the thing doesn't spread and we can keep working and keep our employees employed. There's my little soapbox. Get those vaccines rolling out. So no tax increase proposed in the stimulus. How about that? That's really pretty good news for all of us regular people and those of us that are trying to help our clients navigate the future. So also, I think it's important that Janet Yellen, the nominee for Treasury Secretary, told the committee of the Senate that the president would hold off on reversing any parts of the tax law until later in the recovery, So I think we've got a little while that we can keep planning. What I have read is that there is a consideration of raising income taxes to pre-Trump levels only at the top bracket, which is only, you guys, an increase to 39.6% from 37%. We're not going back up to 85% like we were many years ago, right? So the income, the taxation rate at the top bracket is incredibly lower than historic levels. So raising that a little bit is going to pay for some of these programs, although they haven't shown yet how they're going to pay for anywhere near all of them. Also, Biden is wanting to raise the corporate tax rate to 28% from the current 21%, which is still short of the top rate of 35% that was in effect before the Trump administration slashed it. So, 21% corporate rate, it's just over a fifth, pretty darn low. And there's lots of arguments about whether that will push people offshore or not. But 28% seems to be a good compromise. That's, of course, up 7% from current and coincidentally down 7% from the middle. One of my daughter's friends was studying King Solomon recently in church school, and I'm reminded about Solomon splitting the baby. Well, does 28% sound like a baby split to you guys? It's right down the middle, a little something for everybody. So it looks like a compromise to me. All right, what are you going to see in 2021 that we know about? These are in effect, and you CPAs that are on this call, I don't know that we have any this week. I think they're busy with tax season, but to the extent somebody might be, glad to have you. And we would love for you to share your expertise. I am advising people to consult with your CPA regarding your tax returns, and you want to get in there early. I know mine is not accepting any new clients at this point. So what do you need to think about though? So first off, the CARES Act required, try that again, John. Maybe I need a sip of coffee. Thank you guys. Cheers. The CARES Act waived the required minimum distribution for 2020. Who does that help? It helps elderly people. It also helps people with inherited IRAs. So they're not going to require that for 2020 last year, and those generally count as taxable income. So it's a one-time reprieve that will mean that especially retirees will have a lower taxable income for 2020 and probably owe less federal income tax for 2021. The standard deductions are higher. The standard deductions generally rise every year on account of inflation. The IRS reports that for 2020, the standard deduction amounts for the following tax filing statuses are, and I'm just going to give you a few of them. Married filing jointly, $24,800, which is up $400. Separately, half of that, which is up $200. Head of a household, $18,650, which is up $300. And for a single person, It's up $200 to $12,400. A charitable deduction is available to everybody. This is one you really ought to think about. I hope you had the ability to be charitable during the pandemic. If you were, typically tax deductions are only given for charitable donations if you itemize deductions. However, right now you are able to take that right off even if you don't itemize. And that comes from the 2018 overhaul of the tax code. You can deduct up to $300 in monetary deductions. This doesn't include like kind, but if you gave money to true charities last year, you are going to be able to deduct that on your income tax return that you are filing now. Another one is that income tax brackets are higher, so they always rise annually. And this is that the 37% tax rate, that's the highest bracket currently, are for people that earn more than, or who have a taxable income of more than $518,400. If you earn more than $207,350, you're in the 35%. $163,300 is 32%. More than $85,000 is 24%. $40,125 is 22%. More than $9,875, ouch. But up to that $41,125, it's 12% and 10% for people under that who I would maintain are living truly at the poverty level. There are higher contribution limits for some retirement accounts. I know we have at least one financial planner on the line, and we want to encourage you to talk to your financial planner about making additional contributions to your retirement accounts, especially talk to them about which ones you can make. It's not for everything. So as I understand it, you can save more money in several types of workplace retirement accounts. And the base contribution for 401k, for example, is $19,500, which is up $500 from 2019 levels. There's some catch-up contribution limits for taxpayers age 50 and older who can put in an additional $6,500. That's significant. And that's up from $6,000. So, and people that are at least 50 can contribute a total of $26,000 to their 401k. Unfortunately, there wasn't an increase for IRAs. And there are a lot of other ones that are very special and specified. I'm not going to hit everything, but I do want to note that there are higher contribution limits available to health savings accounts, or HSAs, a lot of people call them. So those have increased again, and you'll want to consider contributing to those. So I'm going to shift back to the crystal ball, right? What are we going to see? What are we going to see in the future? So we know that the current administration has proposed a $1.9 trillion, that's a T, trillion, dollar stimulus plan. I believe trillion was a character in a Douglas Adams novel, but this isn't who we're talking about. There's a big stimulus plan coming down the pike. And some of the things it proposes, I wanted to let you in on. To increase the child tax credit, as a parent, I'm in favor, to $3,000 for each child 17 and younger, and $3,600 for children under the age of 6 for a year. What's that do? It makes daycare more affordable so folks can go to work, right? And after school care, in addition to make the credit fully refundable for a year as well. The plan seeks to expand the earned income tax credit for 2021, and for increasing the maximum credit for adult workers with no children from existing 530 to nearly 1,500 bucks. That's a good one. One more is that they're raising the income limit for the credit from 16,000 to about 21,000. If passed, the plan would also make the earned income tax credit available to workers over the age of 65. So for those folks that are basically working at what we kind of consider retirement age, they're going to be able to take that that credit as well. And those are essentially the items that I had prepared for this webinar on individuals and taxes that we are seeing coming in the future. I've got a great question on the question and answer page, and I would invite anybody else to chime in. And that question is in regard to qualified business income under 26 U.S. Code 199A. The question is, do you anticipate changes to that? And what are some of the tax benefits from COVID that may not be well known? I think I hit some of the latter question earlier. I think it's a fantastic question. I do believe that we will see some changes in qualified business income. And I'm going to take a very sneaky approach to this excellent question and say that that's an excellent subject for a future webinar. I believe that it'll be some time before we see those changes put into effect. As I have been saying all along, I believe that the effects will go, the changes will occur later in the year, but that it is possible that they can be retroactive to January 1. So stay tuned. We could change, there could be changes to qualified business income and other tax aspects relating back to January 1 of this year, which reminds me that I would really encourage all of you to see your financial planner sooner rather than later. You know, your CPAs right now are overwhelmed, as they are this time every year. Well, not last year because the dates were extended, but you know what I mean. But it's a great time to get with your financial planner. I also would encourage each of you who has an estate plan in place to have it reviewed and updated. There may be things that can be done to save future taxes. I will remind you or tell you if you're new that one of the things that's different about Rock Solid Law is that we offer an objective opportunity analysis, which is an amazing, really deep dive into your personal financial situation so that we can examine if you are either currently paying or set up to pay voluntary taxes, which we don't want to see you do. Let's see. I think those are all the subjects that I wish to cover today. I want to tell you what is the subject matter for next week, he said, reaching over to his handy dandy sheet to see what it is. And next week, we are going to talk about probate and the need for an estate plan. The title of it is Funeral for a Friend. I was searching for a document in my estate planning folders on my computer, and I came up with something I wrote some years ago where I'd had a couple of friends die very close to each other. They were friends who didn't know each other. They were my friends in totally different parts of the country and totally different lives. But reading that in the light of now that we're coming up on a year of the pandemic being sort of public knowledge and our quarantining and staying safe, really brought home to me the need to further discuss probate and estate planning, either to avoid it whenever appropriate, And so next week is called Funeral for a Friend, which is, of course, named after the Elton John song. Maybe I have to change my theme music for 1 week, either on the intro or the outro, to the fantastic song by Elton John. But I want to talk to folks again about avoiding probate and why that's important for your family, so that your legacy is protected when you're gone. I hope this was helpful. I also hope it wasn't boring. Taxes. I always start my speeches on taxes on, I get to talk about taxes today, but I also get to talk about not inheriting the IRA intentionally. The IRA, that's funny. The IRS, either intentionally or otherwise. I suppose that Freudian slip tells you what my opinion is. Appreciate you guys being here. Let's see, I've got a note here. Oh, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. Oh, I'm glad it was helpful. Excellent. Good information at a dance party. Well, I'm going to turn you back over to the Commodores. And I do promise that we will hit qualified business income. We'll tee that one up whenever the next available webinar date is, and that'll be a great one for us to talk about. You guys have a fabulous day. If there are any trailing questions, feel free to write us at questions@RockSolidLaw. I hope you've had an amazing February. We're going to have a month end over the next few days here at Rock Solid Law, and I will check in with you next week as we welcome March. Take care, everybody. John Miller, Rock Solid Law.